Welcome to the upper shop. Why do I call it the upper shop? Well, it's higher than the lower shop. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. Behind me on the ground is some of the boxes from the parts and pieces from the S10 build. And I need to get that broken down in the cardboard pile so it can go off for recycling. I actually do recycle. Yeah. And then I think we'll get the S10 pulled in, get the bumper pulled off. Hitch was supposed to be here today. It's not here today. Maybe it'll be here tomorrow, maybe not. But we'll get it prepped and ready for the hitch to go on, get the wiring done, and just be able to slap it on when it gets here. So I'll get these boxes broke down so there's nothing to trip over. Well, that's done. Now let's head down, look at why we call it the upper and lower shop. Well, we're in the lower shop, and this is where the healing typically happens. And let's take a little bit of a look around. It is an absolute disaster at the moment, but this part of the shop is the part that was here when we bought the house. And then last summer, I think it was last summer. Yeah, last summer before last. While the interest rates were still low, they were just starting to creep up. We wanted to add on to the shop because this space just was not big enough. I have a business, well, professional wedding DJ. And so I've got a lot of wedding equipment. And it was crammed in here. My tools were crammed in here. And then after the pandemic, as a thank you for paying all my rent payments on time, even though I couldn't work. Thank you, Governor. As a thank you, they raised my rent 166% or something. So I closed my office because nobody wanted to have in-person consultations anymore. And we added on to the shop. Now, we wanted to go taller in the new addition, but we would have had to tear down the old shop because it wasn't rated for a drift load and et cetera, problems of living in snow country. That's okay. I was going to have, another 40 feet, and that was going to be great. And then had the excavator and the builder come out and everything was fine. And then the day before they started, they told me loan had already been secured, payments had already been made. They told me that they couldn't match the floor levels because it would flood. Now, I understand that, reality is a real thing, but it would have been nice if they'd figured out that before we ever got started, because the ceiling height in here isn't great. It's 10 feet. But in order to make that work, they had to maintain the same roof line. And so I ended up with a ramp, which isn't bad. But I initially wanted it big enough, to get cars all the way through, and they told me they just couldn't do that. So we added this on. Gave me space for all the DJ gear and more DJ gear, and then all the stuff that I brought back from my office. And so now this part's storage. It's all business storage. And then I've got the bikes over here that I used to make videos. And then I've got Chris's bikes are here. You're going to see the Fat Bob in an upcoming video. It needs some work on the transmission. And it's had an issue where it's cutting out a little bit when it's low on fuel and pulling hills. And I suspect the line has a hole in it. So we'll investigate that. the very least, we'll put a filter in it. And then you recognize that problem, child. Then you're going to see more of that in an upcoming video I shot in the last summer, where I rebuilt the transmission and upgraded that beautiful ultimate pain in the ass transmission with a Baker shift drum, Paul, and shift levers, dogs, whatever you want to call them. This is the bike, and she's absolutely filthy right now. Winter really snuck up on us. But this is the bike. I traded in my 2020 Electric Glide Standard to get this, with the sole intention of using it for trips and content. If I'm going to be making trips to record content, I wanted something a little more comfortable, something with, like, put a backseat bag on to carry more stuff, because, you know, I'm a big guy, I've got big stuff. It takes up more space. And that's my 05 Road King. That is my personal pleasure bike. It's a retired police bike. There's my Harbor Freight lift table and the extensions that I built for it. May or may not see a video on that. All depends on, well, it depends on a lot of things. Well, I backed the truck in, forgetting it sits a little nose high or tail high where it's parked, and the bed liner was full of water. And I went to sweep it off and it made mud, so it's time to mop the floor. Well, there's the first wash. A little bit of Castrol Super Clean I had left and cold water. And I think for the next wash, I'm going to try hot water, and since I'm out of Super Clean, still some of the wife's dish soap. What could possibly go wrong? But there's the water from the first wash. I think we're all set. We got some nice hot soapy water. Got the wife's Dawn Platinum. It's 4 times faster, which is good because I'm 4 times slower. Well, it still has a little bit to dry out, and it still has some spots that need some work, but all in all, she's a lot cleaner. Got the S10 backed into the shop. Got the license plate bulbs out. Looks like it need to disconnect those wire looms. And then I think I'll pull these 2 bolts on each side. And that should allow the bumper to slide off, maybe. There's also bolts back up there, but I think if I take those brackets off, then I can take those up there off the frame. New hitch is supposed to sandwich between there and there on each side. Yeah, so I'll get after it. Well, those 4 18mm bolts got it right off. And now looks like 2, 3 more 18mm on each side to get the bumper arms off. Well, I got the bumper brackets off. Sure glad I cleaned up the floor first. But I think I may call today. Not sure what time it is. And it's our anniversary, wife and I. 32 years. Wow. She's amazing. I don't deserve her. She puts up with all my crazy stuff. And she doesn't complain even when she has every right to. And I'm really grateful. She is amazing. Without her support, I couldn't do anything I do. So, since it's our anniversary, I'm going to call it a day. Go ahead and get cleaned up, and we'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back. It is today or tomorrow or by whatever day it is that you're watching it. It's that day. Brackets are a little rusty. I got that one off. Took the wheel to that one, got it cleaned up so it's ready to go. I'll get that one up here and get it painted in a bit. Gonna take a wire brush to the frame rails, throw a little paint on them, get the wiring on, then I'll go pick up the hitch. Let's get to it. The hitch is on. I went with the Kurt that's exposed. Figured it would give me less trouble with the spare tire and bumper and such. And it went on really, really easy. The only little tweak was the original bolts are 12 millimeter. The new bolts are 1/2 inch. The original holes are 12 millimeter. So they just didn't quite want to go. Used a step bit, just nudged them a bit, and they slid right through. Get the wiring in. With the 7 blade with a flat 4 right next to it. Yeah, I don't have trailer controls in there yet. May never, but the wire's there, so I went ahead and wired it up. And I can always just wire it under the dash and be good to go. So yeah, let's go out and hook it to a trailer. Well, she's hooked up. Lights are working. This thing, absolute junk. Can't plug the flat 4 into the flat 4, so I had to use my adapter. And then you can see how far that's sticking out. Didn't think it'd be an issue because, you know, there wasn't supposed to be an adapter there. Okay. Time to put some stuff in it, see how she pulls. Well, there she is. She officially does towy things. Ran her up to the scales and back, and yeah, does great. It's going to be a great little addition to the fleet. Looking forward to lots of adventures with her. Hey, I really appreciate you watching. Yeah, if you're inclined, it'd be really cool if you subscribed. If not, hey, I understand. And hope to see you next time.